Hello everybody, we're here at last. This is episode 641 of Conversation Street. We've made it. We've been away. It's now 3 days late, 2 days late, I've lost track. But we're here, and by we, I mean me, Michael, and her.
Gemma.
Gemma is here. How are you all doing? We've made it. This is going to maybe be a short episode of the podcast.
I haven't seen the episodes.
Gemma hasn't even watched last week's Coronation Street, so we're going to try something a bit different. So basically, we're going to be talking about episodes between the 12th and the 16th of August, which is 11,335 to 11,340. But yeah, Gemma hasn't watched it. We've been away and we just didn't have much opportunity. I watched Coronation Street while we were away, by means. I got up really early in the morning and watched it, but we just had full on days and Gemma didn't have a chance to watch it. And even today when we're back, we just got so much other stuff on, and we got a friend coming round for tea tonight, so I don't think we can fit it in. So we thought we'd just give it a go at seeing if we can do the podcast where I tell Gemma about what happens in Coronation Street. And I don't want this to become a habit.
Oh, you telling me off? You really need the right act.
But you had a 1 week holiday from Coronation Street, but you've heard a few things.
I'll probably still watch them.
We just haven't got time now. If we want to get this episode out
you
today,
guys want to,
before tonight's Coronation Street, this is the only way we can do it.
This is the only way to do it, because I also have to work.
Gemma has got work on today as well. So I want to the stories that we're going to be talking about today. We've got the Institute stuff first, which is also...
We're not having any doodly doos. We're just going straight into it.
Yeah, this is just it. We're going rogue today. No, nothing. What are you looking at your phone for?
To see what time it is.
It's on the computer. Look,
do you think I can see it from here?
Yes. Use your eyes. Squint a bit. Do a nick.
I can't even see the notes, so you carry on.
There's no notes to see. Right, so we're going to start off with the Institute story, but it is, I suppose, a little bit more of a... what do we call it? Toyah, Nick's Leanne's boyfriend, which is, nice. Oh my gosh, it's still not going away from that. They say it is, but it's not. I will tell you about that. Then we're going to do the Daddy Deering story.
I'm kind of excited.
There were some developments that you don't know anything that happened in the Joel and Dee-Dee story at all this week.
I saw something on Twitter that was Dee-Dee. It was posted by ITV Corrie, which is the official account, and it was like a clip, and it was Dee-Dee saying to Joel, "I've been speaking to Emily." And I was like, ooh.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you all about that later.
And I was like, I won't watch it because I want to watch the episode. I still do want to watch the episode, but I'm going to decide after we've had this discussion whether it's going to be worth
Okay. We got the Tyson Ferrari story.
I know another thing that happens in this.
Go on, what do you know happens in this?
You told me your puns, which is about a test. Like, I think he does a DNA test on Dorin.
Did I do a pun about that?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I don't know.
You told me something about it.
Oh, no, I did my little rhyming summary of the week, didn't I? Yeah, he's trying to swap words.
That's right.
Dorin, I'll tell you about that. We got Trace back to the source.
Okay, Tracy's come back.
Tracy is back in Weatherfield.
I saw mention of that too.
Yeah, and then we've got the They Think It's Paul over story.
Paul's not dead because this might have come
yet.
out to me at some point if he died, and you might have said something.
So you know bits and pieces, and I have been I'm hoping that this isn't just going to be me kind of just telling you stuff.
Well, it depends on whether you act annoyed when I interrupt you, like you have been doing.
I request interruptions today,
and then you give
otherwise
me
it's
look.
just going to be me. And I've massively abridged my notes that I took during the week as well, so I'm only going to give you the hard hitting bits. So basically, starting with the Battersby story, Toyah does have her operation. To cut a long story short, she has her operation. There's a few complications. It's just in one ovary. She's out and cartwheeling about by Friday.
I heard somebody said that they thought she was going to die, or that this show made it look like she might die, but everyone knew that she wasn't going to die.
Well, it was just basically so that Leanne could rush off to the hospital and show that she does actually care for Toyah more than she does for the Institute in the end.
Having an ovary out is incredibly similar to what happened to me. And I don't like to talk about myself and my experiences too much on this show, but I'm assuming that
We're talking about your appendix.
My appendix. I'm assuming that for the next 3 weeks she's not going to be able to walk very well. She won't be able to bend over. She's going to be very slow.
No.
She won't be able to sleep laying down for about 2 weeks.
I
That's
don't
all
think.
happened?
No, I don't know what magical technique that they used in Weatherfield.
What did she
General.
do? Just like going, ooh.
Well, there's only been like one scene, and this was on Friday when
okay.
she's out of the hospital.
Is she walking slow at least?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say she's pretty much just acting normally.
Okay.
She wasn't shuffling about a little bit, but maybe they just like I don't know.
Maybe they're just really crap surgeons in Southampton.
Yeah, must be.
And in Weatherfield General, they're just, they just use laser eye beams to shrivel it up.
So that's basic. I don't know. I think that maybe they've got to have an appointment in this coming week to check that it's all okay. I'm kind of thinking it probably is.
I'm just going to say that recovering from an operation is very boring, and so I can see why they wouldn't bother. And it's obnoxious as well. I know, I'm sorry to say this, but as somebody who's been through it, it is really obnoxious to constantly be in pain and moaning on about it and shuffling about like a bloody ghost.
The fact that she isn't 100% back to full form does get mentioned at one point during the week. I'll tell you when we get. I'll tell you when we get to it. So there's also an awful lot of this. Oh, who's Nick gonna go with? Is he gonna stick with Leanne? Is he gonna take a risk and take the plunge with Toyah? There's a few scenes during the week where Leanne and Nick kind of confirm their love for one another.
Leanne and Nick.
Yeah, because Leanne's back to sort of, oh, actually, I do care for Toyah. I can't distance myself from her like I've been doing. And
but
Nick
why has she been doing that then? Just by accident?
Oh, no, no. Remember, she decided to withdraw herself with love from Toyah so that she could concentrate on the institute. But yeah, now seems to be. Well, there's been a bit of back and forth with it. That she seems to be back in Toyah, but she can't quite give up on what's going on with the institute as well. But Nick tells David at the end of Monday's episode, look, because David obviously knows the fact that Nick has had it off once with Toyah, and he keeps going, I say, well, how's it going then with you and your fiancée and her sister? And Nick said at the end of Monday's episode, look, by the end of tomorrow, I will have decided. So I was like, ooh, Wednesday, that's when we're going to find out.
So when was the operation? Monday?
Yeah, operation was Monday.
So he's like, oh, she's in having her operation and now I'll pick.
It's made him realise.
I think he's rude just to see, like, I don't know, she's going to make it.
Put
all my eggs in one basket, so to speak.
No, I think by the time that he said that,
Mixing my metaphors there with the ovaries.
Oh yeah, nice. No, she only had very small complications on Monday, but it was just enough for like a break time.
Little birth or something, was it?
Yeah, basically. So that's going on. But also on Monday, and this doesn't get developed very much more during the week, we got Amy, because do you remember the previous week, Leanne had said, oh, I'm going to get Amy to talk to a financial advisor about investing in the resource centre, and we couldn't remember whether Amy even knew that was going to happen.
No, that's right.
But apparently she did. It wasn't sprung on her.
It wasn't a joke.
She has a meeting with this financial advisor on Monday who basically says it's a sound bet, and I don't think this financial advisor
is. He a fake?
No, it was a lady.
My bias
Gemma,
is on display.
It was a lady financial advisor.
I didn't know women did maths.
But because women aren't very good with money, this one said, yeah, great, resource centre, sounds good to me.
She's like, I'm hearing you say shoes. Is that what you said? Do you want to buy some shoes? In that case, I say, go for it. I'll come with you. Oh, it'll be a girls' trip. Oh, should we get cocktails? It'll be great.
I don't think that the advisor was like that guy the fake thing he met with last week that was planted by Rowan. I think she was a real financial advisor.
Really?
I think so.
But why would you advise somebody to invest in a cult?
Because it's not a cult, it's just a wellness association.
So what did this woman have all the information? She should be looking at charts and things.
Well, look, it turns out that Amy doesn't even really know what she's investing in, because Ardy's loitering around at the bistro when she's having this meeting, and he's like, what's Amy getting up to there? So it was either Nick or Leanne, I can't remember, tells him, and he sidles up to Amy after it and is like, are you sure you know what you're investing in here? And because, Ardy does have a bit of a business head on him.
He does, yeah, because he's a man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now you're getting it.
He's like, the power of my balls, help me with my calculations.
So he starts asking her about all this business jargon and said, look, what are the I don't know about business.
What's the outs and the ins of it?
What's the outs and the ins of this business, Amy?
Is the ins more than the outs?
Do you have any pie charts or anything?
Yeah.
And Amy basically realises through that she doesn't actually know what she's investing in. So she tells Rowan at the end of the episode, I can't invest.
Right, so the financial advisor was like brilliant, and then Ardy comes along and says, don't know what that woman was talking about.
Yeah. She trusts her mates more.
A man.
Exactly. So that was Monday. Wednesday, that's when Leanne kind of disses Rowan a little bit on Wednesday.
No, she doesn't.
She's getting ready to go to the hospital. And Rowan,
did she make fun of his hair?
No, she doesn't.
He's got magnificent hair.
And he's got lovely hair.
Yeah.
She tells him he wants to chat with her, and she's like, I can't really talk now, I'm going to the hospital. And there was a great little scene with him walking up the road, and you know what he's like. He kind of smiles and goes, oh yeah, of course, that's absolutely fine, your sister comes first. And then he turns and walks down the road, and he goes this, like his face falls, and it's like curses, because he's already been told by Amy, I can't invest. He's trying to get this investment from Nick, and he's not getting anywhere with this at the moment.
So he was slighted by Leanne.
He was slighted by Leanne, exactly. So then we get the hospital scene. Remember I said Nick was going to decide who he's going to end up with, who he's going to, whose ground he's going to plant his flag in. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Toyah. He tells Toyah he loves her. Yeah, she's recovering. She's still in the hospital bed. She's got a gown in.
The next day, I don't even know what was up.
She's probably still recovering from the anaesthetic and thinks that he can.
Spider. Imran, come back. Imran looked very pale. You all right?
She's like, look, I can't risk this at the moment. Leanne seems to be on the verge of coming back to us. Okay. So I don't want to put the cat among the pigeons. I don't want to do it. Bloody Nick, he was ready. He was willing then to cut loose Leanne and
so Toyah's
jump
saying,
in bed with the invalid.
You can't really. There's very narrow beds. So Nick saying, I want to be with you, and Toyah saying, I'd rather maintain my relationship with my sister,
which is good,
because I think that if we go off together, then she might go completely mad.
Well, she thinks that,
and shack up even more with the cult.
Leanne was already on the verge of going full on institute, but because she's now maybe realising that she can't devote 100% of her time to it, Toyah doesn't want to risk it. But
yeah, good for you, Toyah.
It all sounds good to me, but I still have not changed my position on I just can't see, I don't want to see Nick and Toyah together, but I think it's 100% inevitable. Don't you? I know you've not seen this past weeks, but having Nick and Leanne both, Toyah saying, I can't, I don't want to, not at the moment. She says something like, I can't deny that I've had feelings too. She's going to end it. It's going to happen. It's going to come out, isn't it? Because Rowan's still got this evidence, and he brings that up because when Nick's back in the flat later, he gets a phone call from Rowan saying, that £20,000 that you're going to pay me, you're going to do it by tonight, actually, midnight tonight. So Nick kind of spends half of Wednesday's episode going, oh my God, what should I do?
Listing his stamp collection on eBay.
Yeah.
Buy it now.
So he comes up with the plan with Toyah. So he gets Rowan.
Toyah's ill. What Nick? Toyah's got no business doing shady back deals with cult members when she's still recovering in hospital. I couldn't even be trusted to pick what I was going to have for dinner. Never mind the fact she's going to be high off drugs, hopefully.
Hopefully. Anyway, so what Nick does is he gets Rowan into the bistro and says, I'm not paying you. They seem to think that by now they've got enough evidence that Rowan is trying to blackmail them, because Rowan left this answer. I think it was an answer phone message that he leaves on Nick's answer phone on his mobile saying, you've got till midnight tonight to give me 20 grand. And that combined with other things that I can't remember. Toyah and Nick decide, well, that's enough. We're just going to get him back. And the fact that he's got this criminal past as well.
What do you mean we're going to get him back?
If he tries to blackmail us with this picture of us snogging by the window, we'll just fire back and get him thrown back into prison again.
But how?
By saying, look, he's trying to blackmail us, and that's not very nice.
So what, the message was saying what?
The answer phone message was saying,
give me the money.
Give me the money by midnight tonight, otherwise, I can't remember. I think it was basically like, otherwise Leanne will find out.
So he just left incriminating evidence on Nick's answer phone.
Yeah. Which is, amateur mistake, Rowan. I thought you were a pro at this.
Willow would never.
But Rowan does kind of, he's taken a bit aback by this, but he says as well, look, you don't even love Leanne. Why can't you accept? She wants to be with us. And Nick's like, I do love Leanne. And Rowan goes, well, I've got a photo that says otherwise. She's going to end up hating you. And Nick says, well, look, right now, Leanne is exactly where she belongs, and that's with me. So he's still clearly very confused about all of this.
What,
and there
Nick?
have been Nick, and there were some really lovely scenes between him and Leanne this week where it seemed like they were maybe communicating a little bit better, and they had lovely smiles between each other, and a few times they both told each other they loved each other. And I don't think Nick's just saying it to cover over the fact that he's had it off with her sister.
Is this one of the few times on Coronation Street where we actually see a man dallying over two women that he really loves?
Oh, I don't know.
Because normally it's the woman, isn't it? Like, most recently we've had Sarah.
Yeah.
Adam did a bit, didn't he? I don't know.
No, that Lydia, I don't think
Lydia,
he was.
I don't think he liked her, did he?
No.
But, like, usually it is the woman who's like, oh, who do I love the most? Or am I remembering it wrong?
I don't remember.
It also doesn't really feel like a very Nick thing to do. But I like that because I think anyone maybe, I don't know, not that I would ever imagine this happening to me, but anyone could go, oh, I love two people, what shall I do? Two is too many for one person. Couldn't eat both of them at once.
No, so he's conflicted. Poor Nick.
I think he needs a slap.
He I think he knows that it's wrong what he's doing with Leanne, and this is just my bias showing.
What
because
do you mean wrong what he's doing with Leanne?
stringing her along.
Poor Leanne.
Yeah, very much poor Leanne.
What will Sam say?
Well, yeah, he's going kind of kicked out of it. He appeared briefly this week, but he's not having a whole lot to do with it at the moment.
It's going to be very disappointing.
So anyway, Leanne gets some flowers from Nick, but then Rowan comes to the flat and
Nick buys Leanne flowers?
Yeah, to say sorry for being a bit of an arse recently.
Make your mind up.
Yeah.
Right, so Toyah said no, and so is Nick going, okay, right, fine. Then I will have to move on and build my relationship with Leanne. Is that what he's decided?
He's fine. He's doing it because he probably realises that trying to pursue something with Toyah at the moment isn't the best, most sensible course of action. But I think in the back of his head, it feels like we're being asked to believe that his true heart lies with Toyah. But anyway, Rowan comes round with some flowers afterwards. I would say
Rowan comes with flowers?
Yeah, to Leanne. Yeah, and Rowan he sits down and he's like, because he's just been
Tell Tracy's back.
She's not back yet.
Oh.
She's back on Friday. So remember, last time we saw Rowan was when Nick said, you're not having the money. And he was like, Cass. But he comes back and he's like, oh, it looks like someone else has got flowers. Oh, Leanne, you're so lucky. And then he sits down on the sofa and he's like, oh, Leanne, I'm really, really sorry. I've been pushing you too hard with this. And he very smoothly and charmingly wheedles his way back into... Basically, by the end of the episode, he said, oh, by the way, there's a special upload session happening tomorrow. Willow's going to be there. And Leanne's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be there as well. And poor Nick in the background is there just... You can imagine his look of disbelief that this is happening after Leanne's been saying, yeah, I'm going to ease off a little bit. I think they'd also said, oh, me, you and Sam can go out on Friday. And Leanne at this point says, oh, well, maybe I can do this upload session first. And then me, you and Sam can go out. And Nick is like, whatever. Maybe it had been up to that point. Nick had been thinking, yeah, maybe I will stick with Leanne after all. But this particular betrayal, for lack of another word, makes him realise, no, she's not going to be cutting any ties with the Institute anytime soon. Oh. I was looking forward to seeing this upload session, but it turned out that it was over and done with before the first scene even started. This is the one where Leanne comes into the cafe. Don't even see it. I'm still seeing people online suggesting that Willow is an AI, because we've only seen her on Rowan's screen at the moment, haven't we?
Yeah, I know. We never watched that scene back.
No.
After people had said she's AI.
I don't think she can be, because Leanne's gone to this upload session where presumably Willow was, and I'm sure that somebody, I can't remember who it was, a couple of months ago, went to a session at the Institute building and heard talks, and Willow was one of the talkers there.
Yeah.
So I think she is real.
This is what was... Oh, is when we thought that Emily was fake, and it does go to show you that Corey's use of characters is a bit baffling at times, when you can quite convincingly create a conspiracy theory about
a character not existing.
Yeah, and it's like totally plausible given all of the evidence that you've been given so far that they don't actually exist at all.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think Corey, if you need us to believe, if you need us to believe a character as well, you got to show them.
You got to show them.
You got to have somebody go up and like prod them. Wow,
it is show and not tell, isn't it? That's one of the biggest storytelling pieces of advice ever.
So that's happened on Friday morning. She's been to this upload session, and David is cultivating the mind line. But the development on Friday basically is Simon's boat's broken down somewhere. It's moored off somewhere in Europe and it's broken. Care. So he's saying to Leanne that you can come and visit me.
Don't go, it's boring.
No, Nick encourages her to go. And I don't know whether at this point he was kind of thinking, well, hey, a bit of alone time with Toyah.
No, she's got her guts have been pulled out.
Well, this is what David says to Nick later. No, he doesn't.
Somebody needs to point it out.
Nick goes over to see David. And David's like, oh, hey, left alone with Toyah, are you? And Nick says, she's just recovering from major surgery, actually.
You donkey.
But she's still walking around, like we said, fine later. The reason that Leanne does end up going to see Simon in the end, because she goes to the hospital, but on the way there, Rowan comes up to her and is like, Leanne, you're going to love this. I've been talking with some of the higher ups at the Institute, and we think that we can fast track you from level 6 to level 8.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
She's going to skip level 7 completely. He's like, oh, we're so pleased with your progress, and feels like you've got so much potential. And Leanne's just like creaming herself over this news.
You can't say that.
Said it. And she's like, and he said, oh, and also, we might be able to sort out a timetable so that you can still spend some time with your sister as well as doing your Institute duties. We'll talk about it when you get back, shall we? There's something is going to be presented to Leanne whenever she's back next week after. I'm assuming she's not going to be back next week because I'm imagining we're going to get...
She's gone to see Simon and his silly boat.
I think that Sam's gone as well. I think Sam went as well to see Simon in his silly boat, and I guess Peter.
Why would you go? Oh, right, okay.
Why not?
What's Leanne and Sam going to do with a broken boat?
Well, no, they're not going to go in there and fix it.
What's the point then?
Just to go and visit Simon. Right,
so you're cruising around the Mediterranean, and now you don't have a boat. You want me to come and visit you? You can get bent.
She can cut all ties with Simon, just not the Institute. Is that what you want?
I'm hanging around with you. Where are you?
Spain or something.
No, it's too hot.
Okay. Anyway, so she's buggered off. Rowan's told her, you can be level 8 when you get back, alright? See you soon.
Yeah, nice.
So, and then David has a couple of scenes with Nick. Oh yeah, I forgot this bit as well. I don't even think I wrote this. Did I write this in my notes? Just checking. Oh, right. So, David goes around number 8 to see... No, Nick goes around number 8. Sorry, listeners.
Which one's number 8?
David's house.
Okay.
Is this working for Street Talk? Is it a bit different? Is it okay this week?
I'm loving it. Carry on.
You're gonna have to watch these episodes now and see, does this play out with what you were imagining in your mind?
Nothing Michael said happened.
I know, I could be making all this up. No, Nick goes round to get some luggage or something from David, and David's having a bit of a joke. This is when he has a bit of a joke about don't get too frisky with Toyah just because Leanne's going to be away. And then when Nick goes off, Shona comes into the lounge and she... She's asking David to text her a shopping list, so he does. Then he texts her accidentally, try not to sleep with her. So he meant to be texting that to Nick, but he texts it to
quip.
Texts it to Shona, and Shona's like, "What the hell is this? Who are you talking about?" And David kind of confesses, but he manages to play it off like it's a joke. He's like, "Oh, just one of these brother things that you'd say. Try not to sleep with your girlfriend's sister." Well, you know what us lads are like.
I'm very glad that none of my siblings are in the show. If I do indeed have any.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically she's appeased by this explanation. And so Nick's
Not
in
even
the
a funny
clear
joke.
again.
It's just a pervert.
That's what she said, something to him like, I can't remember what the line is. She said, "Oh, you're just like a mucky little pervert, aren't you?" And he says, "I'm your mucky little pervert." And
It's not even funny, it's gross.
Anyway, he then goes round to see Nick at the end of the episode and tells him, "Look, you got to keep little Nicky in your trousers."
Who does?
David.
David tells him...
David tells Nick, "Keep your willy in your trousers while your hands away."
I got the inference.
Yes.
You don't need to really spell it out.
Because there was also a scene where Nick and Toyah are talking, and this is when she's back home, and they agree, we're definitely going to not let anything happen, we're just going to be friends, we're going to go out for a nice drive on Monday, it's all going to be fine.
Oh, a nice drive. Oh, yeah, that's lovely, a nice drive. Yeah, because the seatbelt would go in no way anywhere near somewhere that you couldn't possibly have pressure on.
Yeah, it's. I don't think the medical accuracy is completely right with the whole recovery stage of it. But anyway, that's basically
slightly insulting. People that have gone through this. Not that I'm trying to say that I have, but this is a serious thing, isn't it?
Mm.
You know,
Toyah's just made the toughest stuff for you, Gemma.
I can only liken it to it. I don't imagine there's much difference in terms of the pain involved, and because he's cutting something out, it's still that. I don't know how many nerves are really around the thing you're cutting out. It's not that. It's the layers that you have to go through and the muscles that get cut that affect how well you can walk around. I only had a keyhole. There was only 3 tiny holes, wasn't there? There was one on my belly button and 2 one either side. And I couldn't go in a bloody car ride or have shaggins. It's ridiculous. Honestly, that's I'm sorry, but that's actually insulting.
I do not think that they're going to be able to keep their hands off each other. Sadly, I think possibly they might make it through Monday's episode if we're lucky. But God, by this time next week, Nick and Toyah will.
So this isn't really an issue storyline, is it? Then
no, not really.
Well, I don't agree with using things that are very.
I know.
Personal and sensitive and upsetting for people as a stupid side
plot
story.
Device.
Sorry, I'm being a bit rude, but it's personal, some of these things, and I don't think that they should be made into a passing and not even done properly.
It doesn't seem like it was, as I say, 100% medically accurate, but it's all about the drama, isn't it? And I guess
I've said before about medical stuff. I don't like it. If you're not going to do it properly, don't do it, because it also sets up unrealistic expectations for people. Coronation Street sells itself as an educational resource as much as anything else, which I've always said, worthy and great, but you can't pick and choose. You've got to you confuse the viewers too. Like, is this a funny cult story or is this an issues-based cult story? I don't know, but like with the medical stuff, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm facing a diagnosis like this, I'm worried about this is a history of this in my family. Oh, it'll be fine. I'll be walking around the next day, and the next week I'll be off shagging around in the bloody Peak District. That's not how it works, and it's going to really upset people if they've been led to believe something.
I know.
And I'm not going to say anymore because it's actually going to really upset me.
Well,
it's really, really going to upset me because I think it's
totally
story. Wrong.
I wish that they'd had a little bit more.
There's
of
no need to have had all of this. Why did they give her that? I can't say anymore because I would not stop talking and I will probably start shouting. That's how seriously upset I am with this direction, and it's whoever it is that's come up with this plot. It's not the writers, it's not the actors. There's loads of people that are not involved in what the story is that still have to put the story together, and don't blame any of those people, but whoever came up with this story, I think is...
You're in Gemma's bad books.
You seriously are. Don't bother talking to me.
I wonder whether now Tracy is back on the scene, what she's going to think of Amy and potentially investing in the Institute. Did you see?
Are we done with the Institute story now? Because I'm really...
Well, I didn't know whether you wanted to talk about the Amy stuff.
I don't want to talk about Amy.
Fine, we'll move on then. So the Joel stuff. You said from this you knew that Dee-Dee had a meeting with Emily, right?
Yeah.
This is all you know. Okay. This is quite juicy what happened here, but I'm starting to feel, I don't know, and I've seen some other people sharing this opinion online as well, that Dee-Dee is being made out to be a little bit a little bit blind to Joel's obvious faults and also a bit forgiving. So listen to what happened and see what you think about this. So we didn't get any of this on Monday. It was Wednesday that this story kicks off. And it's basically Ed's round the flat and he notices on Joel's iPad that he's got a notification asking him to rate his experience at Belfast Airport. Yeah? And...
Sorry, I'm just really still angry.
Still mad about the medical stuff. So he says... So Dee-Dee confronts him about this, and he says, "Oh yeah, I meant to go a week ago for something for work, but I forgot to cancel it. Ah, darn! I had to pay for these flights to Belfast, but I definitely didn't go." And she's like, "Okay, fine." She kind of believes it, but there's a few bits during the week where she's looking a bit upset and a bit. Should I really trust this guy? But then even at the end of that episode, she's talking to Ed in the pub later, airing her concerns. Yeah, and he says, "Look, do you trust this guy 100%?" And she says, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "Well, that's all you need to know then." But I think it's one of those scenes where you see her at the end of the episode, and she's thinking, "But do I?" So So he manages to get away from that. Oh, it was Friday, the Emily scene. So this happens because Dee-Dee finds out that Joel's divorce is being finalised. So he's finally cut free of Emily. And she's like, "Brilliant, we can get married. It's all going to be great. By the way, what do you reckon about Maeve being our flower girl at the wedding? I think I might like to buy her a charm for her charm bracelet. That would be good, wouldn't it?" At the same time, you got some goings on with Mason and Betsy. They're in the precinct, and they're just having a bit of a muck around, and he sees the marks on her arm. You remember when Joel pushed her up against the wall in the alleyway the other week? And he says, "Look, you need to tell your mum about this." And she's obviously quite evasive about it because she doesn't want to go into everything she's been getting up to, and definitely doesn't want her mum to find out. And Mason's like, "No, if some guy is roughing you up, you need to tell your mum." So back to Dee-Dee, she's meeting up with Emily in the bistro, and she's got this charm, and she says, "Oh, you could you could give this to Maeve." As like, when is this a tradition? When you ask a girl to be a flower girl, you give them a present?
Probably. Anything to do with the wedding always has extra things you got to buy.
Presents for everybody. Emily says, "But Maeve doesn't have a charm bracelet."
Oh, I thought you were going to say Maeve. But Maeve's just a doll.
Maeve definitely is this, but she doesn't have a charm bracelet.
Maeve's an AI-generated baby.
Dee-Dee says, "Hang on a minute, Joel got her a charm bracelet." "Oh, no, she didn't," says Emily. "He didn't," says Emily. "You got to be careful with this guy. Now the divorce is finalised, I'm not kind of tied to him anymore. I don't have to be marching to the beat of his drum. He's a dodgy guy."
Well... Sorry, Emily, but why were you running your mouth off about how bloody brilliant he was?
I know.
Just to offload him to somebody else makes no sense at all.
No, I didn't think that was completely inconsistent with what she'd been saying about him
That makes
before.
no sense. She literally pitched up. Like, what did Joel have over her? And she hasn't said that Joel forced her to say it, has she?
No. I think she was basically saying, well, we had to maintain amicable relations.
Sorry, maintaining amicable relationships isn't like, hey, my ex-husband, actually, even though he's a massive wrong-un, you should shack up with him because he's a really good bloke, and it's all just a big misunderstanding when he ran off and shagged someone else when I was pregnant with his baby, who he hasn't seen, actually, since she was born.
Well, now she's kind of letting loose and she's got no reason to keep that facade.
Maybe she's been in a sibling-induced glory crash that's made her brain go funny like Nick had that time.
Anyway, she also drops the bombshell. "Oh, by the way, I bet you didn't even know he was still paying for his old flat, do you? And he's still paying rent for it." And Dee-Dee's like, "What the hell? He says he's got rid of that flat." And Emily's like, "I told you he's a wrong one." So Dee-Dee
Emily's a stirrer, isn't she?
She's a massive stirrer.
She's like... It's such an instigator in this. Maybe she's just messy and loves drama. I can see myself being an Emily, actually.
Just on the sidelines, not having any big stories yourself, just dropping the bombs and then running off going...
gently steering events.
Yeah, that's what she does. pops in every couple of months or so. So Dee-Dee heads over to Joel's flat. He's been a bit of a careless baddie this week because he left his iPad lying around so that Ed could see that notification. And on Friday's episode, he leaves his bag lying around so she can take the keys to the flat out. So she goes and lets herself to the flat, and obviously it's empty because Lauren. Wasn't she told that she could have...
Lauren was going to...
new mum's accommodation or something. So I saw a couple of people saying, oh, how come she didn't find more evidence? She's having a snoop and she finds a bottle of nail varnish. Because Dee-Dee's gets it into her head by this point that Joel's having an affair with somebody. So she finds this bottle of nail varnish and is like, what's this? Who's the one this belongs to? But so I've seen some people online saying, why didn't she see more if Lauren's living there? But she's not living there anymore. She's cleaned up. So, meanwhile, you get Betsy going over to the station to talk to her mum. She was a little bit hesitant about it. And then Lisa Swain hauls Joel into the station and she gives him a good old grilling in the interview room. And it was quite a fun scene because it was nice and moody lighting and all the lights were kind of coming in. You know how they have that kind of squarey window? It was nicely directed, that, and Swain was on it.
No, hang on. What's happening?
Swain has been told by Betsy almost everything. She's shown her mum the mark on her arm from when Joel was...
When did this happen?
Well, I told you that her and Mason were talking in the precinct earlier. Betsy then later in the episode goes in and tells them, we don't see it. We see her coming into the station going, oh, Mum, there's something I need to tell you. And then the next thing we know is Swain saying, Joel, right, get your arse in here. I've got a bone to pick with you.
I like the way you're kind of, what's the word? Even though because I haven't seen these episodes, but I do know what she's like. Even so, in my mind... She's like the headmistress of the school and he's like been chucking bits of wet tissue paper on the ceiling of the toilets or something. And she's like, yeah, right, that's it. We've had enough of your shenanigans.
It was. But
what is his... So what is she... So Betsy must have told him what? That she's been blackmailing him. He tried to... On very shaky ground, she's been blackmailing him over the fact that he gave a teenager some alcohol in a park.
I think he was... She basically told her mum, I saw him chatting up Sabrina and since then I've been trying to get money off of him. I think that's what's happened because we don't see the confession or whatever you want to call it scene from Betsy to Swain. But Joel kind of goes along with it and Swain has seen Betsy's phone, I think, by this point.
What do you mean Joel goes along with it?
He kind of admits, that is what happened.
Right,
but...
So in the interview room,
nicely.
In the interview room, Swain's gone, right, my daughter Betsy has told me that you've been blackmailing. She's been blackmailing you.
Yeah.
And you've bruised her and attacked her.
Yeah.
Right? And then Joel says...
No,
I haven't.
He says, fair cop.
It was Emily.
He basically says... She saw me talking with Sabrina and I was just trying to be a good Samaritan because I saw that she was looking a little bit upset in the park and ever since then your daughter's been going on at me like I've been grooming this girl and at first I thought she was just after a bit of money so I gave her a little bit. That was a bit iffy because that's the thing, isn't it? But if he said I'm completely innocent, why would he have given her money? But he said, I just thought she wanted a bit of cash and then she'd leave me alone. I like trying to pay her to leave me alone.
Yeah.
And that's all it was, and it snowballed and it basically looks like your daughter's got a bit of a crush on me. And so
to be honest, if you're Swain, neither of these stories make any sense at all. You think something else was going on, but no, that is literally what's happened. Like, not what Joel said, but literally Betsy saw him talking to a girl in a park, and then he allowed himself to be blackmailed for, several weeks.
Yeah.
With, God knows how much money he's given this girl. And if you're Swain, you're thinking, that can't be true. That doesn't make any sense. But actually, no, it is true, because... the story doesn't make any sense.
She's still a little bit suspicious, and if you do watch this later, there's some great Swain moments where she kind of gives Joel the impression that she's believes him for now, but she drives him back to the street later and drops him off by the cabin, and she's kind of just about smiling and going, well, you know,
girls,
whatever, you know what they're like.
So
and
what's she like? Sorry, my teenage daughters.
A little bit, yeah.
Right, okay.
And then when he turns to go up to the flat where Dee-Dee's watching down, by the way,
Is she?
Swain's face drops. It's brilliant. She's like kind of smiling pleasantly, like, start off you, and then she's like, oh.
Does Dee-Dee see that?
I don't think she does. I think Dee-Dee's more annoyed at the fact because she's got the idea in her head that Joel's got himself a fancy piece, and I don't know whether she calls him out on this exactly. I don't know whether she thinks that Joel's seeing Swain. I don't know whether she knows that Swain's gay. But anyway, she's more mad about the fact that Joel's still got this flat that he's paying rent for, and that there's some woman that has been in the flat.
So does Dee-Dee know that Betsy and Swain are mother and daughter? Does she even know Betsy's involved at this point? She's just on the airport
I can't
and
remember.
flat thing.
I honestly can't remember because Betsy went up to them both last week, didn't she? In Victoria Street, I think, and I can't remember what came out. It doesn't particularly matter at this point, anyway. So, because Dee-Dee just confronts Joel about what's been going on. First, whose varnish is this? And Joel says, "You're right. I've been lying." Yeah.
Break.
But he says, "What excuse would you come up with if you were Joel, right? And you'd been having your flat, and you'd been having a girl in there that you secretly got up the duff and were knocking about a bit."
Yeah.
And then your girlfriend found a bottle of nail varnish. Yeah. What excuse would you come up with?
I'd say Emily and Maeve came over, and Emily was doing her nails, and then I started painting Maeve's nails, and I think I put it down in the wrong place, and she didn't take it home with her.
You hadn't even prepared that lie. I'm never going to believe one that comes out of your mouth then again. Now, he says, I've been illegally subletting my flat out.
He needs me around. I'll be like, let me handle this job.
What's it called? Like, you spin... No, politicians have got their spin doctors, haven't they?
Yeah, I could be that. Sure, really good.
I'll help you come up with an excuse, Joel. It's all right.
I was also maybe thinking, like, I like to paint my nails, and I thought you might think I was...
Yeah. He could have done, couldn't he? It's my secret life.
Like, literally, these days, like, men paint their nails now.
Yeah, some do.
It's like, well, I'm a lawyer and I didn't think you'd take me seriously if you knew I painted my nails. But then I think maybe bad idea, because then you have to commit to that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, what if Dee-Dee had turned around and said, "Oh, Joel, it's totally fine.
No, we can do each other's nails. Yeah, what colour would you like?" And he'd be like, "Oh God, for the rest of my life, the weekends I'm going to be wearing nail varnish." And not that there's anything wrong with that, except it's a bloody pain in the arse. I love nail varnish, but I don't bother painting my nails because it's such a pain in the arse.
Well, yeah, and I don't think Joel would do it.
I don't think Joel's really in touch with his metrosexual side.
I think not, no. But anyway, he says that I've been illegally subletting it out, and I didn't want you to know about it because it was illegal. And,
but is he going to say something like, "I needed the money for"?
Yeah.
Emily?
He says I've been struggling with the divorce costs. I had to get it somehow, and so she's like, "Okay, what about this charm bracelet thing then?" Because I spoke to Emily today, and she said you never gave her a charm bracelet, and Joel says I did. I promise I did, but
she's lying and she's mad.
She said that Emily sold it as soon as I gave it to Maeve.
He said Emily sold it.
He says Emily sold it as soon as I gave it to her because Emily didn't want anything of mine. She's an evil cow. Yeah, so Dee-Dee's like, okay. So he's now told her 2 lies, and she's saying, okay, they are both excuses that could make sense, but you do get a little glimmer of, hang on a minute, there is something really dodgy. I can't remember whether it was at this point or earlier in the week. She's like there fiddling with her engagement ring going, is this really what I want?
Symbolism.
But she still bogs off for a bit, comes back later in the episode and is full of apologies.
What day is this again?
Fridays.
Right.
She's like, "Oh, Joel, I'm so sorry. I jumped to conclusions I shouldn't have. Your excuse makes total sense."
Your excuse?
It's feeling like she doesn't want to believe what her niggles are telling her and what
exactly.
Emily is telling her.
Yeah,
She also says, "Look, I think we should get Maeve a charm bracelet. Where did you get that one from that you got her?" And he's like...
none of your business.
No, he says, it doesn't matter. We can just get her any one.
A famous brand I'm not allowed to say because they didn't pay us.
He knows that I mean, I don't know whether Dee-Dee has memorised the name of the establishment on that receipt that she found all those months ago, where he actually picked up Lauren's necklace, but he doesn't tell her, and he's like, oh, any old charm bracelet will do it. It's not. And again, because he's a little bit dodgy sounding with that, Dee-Dee ends the scene with a bit of a kind of look.
She's like, why didn't he just say Pandora? Like anyone would say.
Not allowed, not sponsoring Coronation Street, you're not allowed
That was
to.
my joke.
So that she's kind of left a bit unsure about Joel, but the big reveal, the big dum-dum-dum, which actually comes before that scene, but I've left it as a dum-dum-dum for you.
Can you imagine if every single episode of Corrie ended, instead of the theme music, it was dun-dun-dun?
Well, that's what they do in EastEnders, isn't it? They're the duff-duffs.
Yeah, they're duff-duffs, but dum-dum-dum is more classic, isn't it?
So we got back at the station, and Swain's there tapping away on her computer.
What's she come up with?
She's searching up Joel Dorin and finds a list of all the people that he's been involved with, and then he sees that he was Lauren's solicitor. Back. Oh, no, sorry, it's not that exciting. We knew it already.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that she hadn't remembered, which is fair enough, I suppose.
No, why would you?
Why would you? That he was Lauren's solicitor back in September, and she's like, oh, and then gets this look of, what's this? I don't know how much you could necessarily draw from that.
No, you can't draw anything.
Is it just a coincidence? I mean, if she's
well, I suppose. You've just had him in because he's been talking up teen girls. And we did have this theory, didn't we? Because we had Emily and we had Dee-Dee, who were both, like, beautiful young black women. And then we had, well, not young, like, you know, a similar age to him. And then you had him victimising younger blonde girls who are white.
Yeah.
And we had this theory, didn't we? Like, we've spoken about it a few times. Like, what is going on there? Something weird's going. You know, he's got a victim profile or something.
Yeah.
But then now he's, you know, targeted Sabrina as well. That's gone out the window. But but still, it may be Swain is looking at this, going blonde in trouble, like just like my daughter.
Yeah.
And kind of a bit, well, Sabrina doesn't really fit the mould, does she?
I don't know whether it's surprising or not that it didn't come up while
that all these blonde girls have been...
while the Lauren investigation was going on. It was a murder investigation after all. You'd think that they might do a kind of a thorough look at what she'd been up to. So
they didn't even... Michael, do you remember that bit of paper that they had, that they put on the screen, that was full of stuff that wasn't actually true? No wonder they didn't find anything.
What bit of paper?
That bit of paper was like, Lauren was last seen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She was it?
She had a mobile phone. She was found with her phone, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, none of that was true. I don't know why you wrote that. Why did you put that on the screen? You must have known that there would have been information on there that is not true. There was literally no reason for us to see that bit of paper. This is why they don't normally even show us bits of paper, even when they could plausibly show us bits of paper with just things like numbers written on for how much money somebody wants to give somebody else. We never see any of it, and that choice has always annoyed me a little bit, because I always think, how hard could it be? And now I know it's impossible, apparently, for them to keep any kind of consistent information. That a bit of paper involved in one of their biggest storylines of the whole year has everything that's on there that's completely wrong and gets disproved. Yes, it was. Like, and then 3 months later, it's like, oh yeah, that was just a joke.
Well,
that was just a joke that Swain wrote for herself. You don't understand her sense of humour. It's very complicated.
I don't think they expect everyone to be pausing the screen to read everything.
They must know that's going to happen. Don't tell me. Why bother writing it then?
Ken was reading a newspaper on Friday with a headline, "Catastrophe," and it was something about a cat driving a forklift truck and causing damage. Mike Gleason, one of the designers, one of the graphic artists on Coronation Street, has put the picture in the article. I think it was him on Instagram.
It's not the person who wrote the bit of paper that is at fault there.
No.
It's not like the props department went, oh, for a laugh, should we just write a bunch of nonsense on a bit of paper and see if they'll show it on screen? And then they're at home watching it going, oh my God, they showed it, I can't believe it, it's so funny. Phone Dave up, tell him.
I suppose with this one, it's Swain has been told this story by her daughter. Joel has given his side of the story, which somewhat ties up to what maybe Lauren has been... She thinks that Lauren had been getting involved in. She might have kind of mentally made the connection.
She still knows.
Oh, that's sounding a bit like Lauren. And then the fact that Joel is got a hard link there to Lauren, that's just giving Betsy's accusations a bit more weight.
She knows that Lauren had a mystery boyfriend because she was trying to work out who this person was.
Yeah.
And then as soon as... Then they thought it was Nathan.
Yeah.
And then I think her suspicions were raised by Lauren saying, no, I don't want the DNA test and stuff.
Yeah.
And she just, I mean, it's not a massive leap, but it doesn't prove anything yet.
Not yet, but it's the beginnings, and I think that as the weeks go on, we're going to see a little bit more now of Swain doing investigations into Joel, which should be quite fun, and also Dee-Dee. She doesn't completely believe him. She has been a bit of a pushover and a doormat, but the fact that she, even though she's been saying, oh yeah, Joel, of course I trust you, you've had these little glimpses at the end of scenes where she's like, but do I? Means that hopefully she's going to be starting to smell that rat even more now.
Well, you don't agree to marry someone because you just kind of like him.
Yeah, it's
she's got an incentive to believe everything he says.
Yeah, exactly. She wants to believe him. It makes things a lot easier if what he's saying is true.
I know a lot of people saying, oh, I get fed up with her. I've seen people on Twitter saying, oh, Dee-Dee, she's I used to really like her, but now I don't because she's being stupid or blind or whatever. It's like, if people were that clever and suspicious, number one, every relationship would just be a disaster. And number two, nobody would ever be cheated on or abused or or anything or coerced into anything. That's what human beings are not very...
I think it was particularly because...
I think human beings are on the whole quite nice and we just believe the best of everybody. And I know that we don't think that we do, but I think we do.
I think it was also because Dee-Dee had initially been characterised as a real shrewd, hotshot lawyer that sees things.
Well, I'm sure she'll cry about this over beans and ketchup with her dad. Saying,
once it's all over.
But Dad, how could I have been so blind? And he'd say, so kind of my fault, Dee-Dee. I've been giving you bad advice from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And every single time that he's been involved in this, he's given her some piece of advice which it turns out to be completely the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Well, you can't trust his
he's
track
got no,
record
yeah,
with
exactly.
a woman. His wife's buggered off, hasn't she, without even saying goodbye properly. Right. Talking of relationship troubles, the Ty-son Ferrari storyline. You anything else you need to know about Joel? You reckon you got a good picture of what happened there?
No, but can I go to the toilet, please?
Yes,
I don't want to say it.
Do you want me to cut this or leave it on the recording?
Oh, it'll make people laugh.
Okay, right. Gemma's going to go to the loo, and then we'll talk about the Tyrone story. Let's go. Hey, there you go, back, refreshed.
Did you put the music in?
I have.
Yeah,
Just
we
put
get
a bit
some
of music.
music.
Get some music there. Okay, so Ty-son Ferrari story. I can't remember whether you said earlier that you'd heard that there was a swabbing that was going on. There wasn't a whole lot in this story, to be fair. It's basically the drama this week or last week. It revolved around, can Tyrone juggle having Alina and Dorin on one hand, but also proving to his family that he's not abandoning them for her. But he still needs to check.
I bet he can't.
Well, yeah, you're right.
But he's going to struggle.
He does, it's true. Then basically Monday he gets hold of this DNA test through Adam, and then he goes over to the hotel to see Alina, and she gets...
he's consulted Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dee-Dee that he spoke to last, didn't he? And she said, oh, Adam's busy.
Did she?
Yeah, and so he was talking to Dee-Dee about it.
Well, he talks to Adam on this week.
Yeah,
he's obviously less busy.
They're all
now.
the same. It's like when you go to the GP's office, you never get the same doctor.
So anyway, he gets this DNA kit, and it's reminded me a little bit of when Kevin was trying to get a DNA test done on Jack when he was born as well. So it all comes around. It's all cyclical. Anyway,
How'd you like it?
Tyrone's left in the hotel room with Dorin while Alina goes to the toilet, and he's like saying, "Oh, Dorin, let's play funny, let's pull funny faces at each other. Can you open your mouth really, really wide?" And he's there with this dangling cotton swab, about to take a swab from inside Dorin's cheek, when the door opens and Alina's there going, "Oh, what on earth are you doing?" So Tyrone's caught in the act there, and she's fuming about this. She says, "Look, what? Do it then. I know that he's your son. Who else could it be? But if you need the proof, if you want to do it, if you want to find out, you take that swab, get it sent back, and then you'll know." And Tyrone's kind of shamed into this. I think he realises that it is clearly his son.
Does he not do it?
He doesn't do the test in the end. So it could still be be left up in the air,
Well,
but I
hang
don't
on.
believe... I mean, Corrie could... I
Yes,
think right
I'm
at
just-
this moment... Go on.
I'm just saying, Corrie's like, remember that
Yeah.
that for 20 years' time.
Right at this
If
very
Dorin's
moment,
still in it.
there is no reason. I think Corrie believes that Dorin is still Tyrone's son, but they could then
They'll
change
retcon
that,
it if
couldn't
they
they?
want
They
to.
could
You
retcon
can't
it if
trust
they
them
want.
with
I don't know
anything.
why they'd need to retcon it, but anyway.
Well, because
So-
they get bored of, like, the Coronation Street is like what we were like when we were kids, reading all these books about orphans and about how much more fun it is to be an orphan. They're like, yeah, just make everyone an orphan, kill everyone off. But then, secretly, the parents they had originally, not their real parents. Then you get double whammy, 2 sets of parents.
Yeah, could be, but as we say, at the moment, Tyrone and everybody believes that Dorin is his son. This had probably my favourite moment of the week, and it was just down to a little ad lib by the boy who's playing Dorin. I can't remember whether I told you exactly what happened here, but Alina gets her knickers in a twist and tells Tyrone to do one. So he kind of shamefully leaves the door, and Alina's having a right go at him. And then Dorin pipes up and says, he's just been naughty. And Alina's like, yes, very. And the cuts there lead me to believe that it was done not completely in one. But I did see on the Coronation Street subreddit earlier on in the week that I don't know whether it was an aunt or an uncle of Dorin, some relative said he completely came out of the blue, and the
remember you
production
saying-
team liked it so much that they kept it.
Yeah, somebody posted a thread about Dorin being adorable, and then somebody piped up and said, "Oh, he's my nephew."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he said, yeah, he just came up with that. But it was such a great line. He's so good. If you don't watch this week's episodes, I need to show you that scene because he was bloody lovely.
He's also my nephew, and you can't prove he isn't.
So anyway, she also says, Alina to Tyrone, I'm going back to Romania. I can't trust you. So. Meanwhile, Fizz has found out about this whole DNA shenanigan because I think Tim was playing darts with Tyrone, if I remember rightly, and Tim kind of guessed that Tyrone was going to get a DNA test, so then he tells Sally. There's a really nice scene in Monday's episode where they're actually, and steal yourself for this, we're having a bit of a gossip in the Rovers about a story that wasn't to do with them.
That's great. That's what they need more of.
Yeah, although when Fizz finds out about it, she calls Jenny out on it, and Jenny says, we do not gossip, we collect rumours. There's a difference. It's a brilliant line. Love that. So Fizz confronts Tyrone about it.
Jenny was in it this week.
Jenny was in it. You will not believe this. There was a scene that had Jenny and Gemma and Daisy behind the bar at once.
What?
I know.
That's just what a waste.
Unprecedented times.
What a waste of time that is. Nobody's having an affair. Nobody's having a drama or having their ovaries hooked out through their nose, apparently.
I think there was some... I've seen a few people online commenting that this week's Corrie was actually kind of good, really.
Well, it's going to be good if you got Jenny, Daisy, and Gemma's behind the bar.
Yeah,
but
there was some really nice little gossipy Roversy
that's
bits
what we like
in this week's
yeah,
episode.
good job, Corrie.
But I've not seen so many positive comments about Fizz because they're thinking that she's been a bit of a martyr, which in a way she is. But
you don't like them, do you, Michael?
I'm a huge Fizz supporter.
You love Fizz, but you don't like martyrs. So what are you going to do?
Martyrs?
You don't like martyrs. You were moaning on about when
like
Paul was being worthy. You couldn't shut up about how much you hated it.
No, so Fizz basically this week is like, oh, it's okay, Tyrone, I understand it's difficult. She basically, at the end of Monday's episode, goes to see Alina and convinces her to stay on in the UK and says, look, Tyrone wants to be part of Dorin's life. There's nothing I can do about it. Please don't take my husband's son away from him. So Alina's like, okay, God. I stay here then. Wednesday, Adam tells Tyrone that he needs to get a prohibit steps order on Alina, which is apparently something you can take out which prevents...
Stop them from listening to cheesy 90s pop music.
What?
Prohibit steps order.
Oh,
I don't think you really need to legislate against them. They're fine. They've got some good tracks.
You got this wrong. It's actually what they take out when it's a Smash Hits poll winners party and they don't want steps to come along. It's like, I'm going to let S Club 7 in. I'm going to let
Bewitched
Liberty
in.
X. I'm going to let Bewitched, but we're not having steps because that H, he's just like, it's all about him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's what you can take out against another parent if they're likely to do something like, I don't know, change the child's name if you're not up for it, or in this case, take them out of the country. So Tyrone is advised to do this. But, stupidly, Adam says, oh, what does Fizz think about you doing this? And Tyrone's like, oh, Fizz doesn't know that I'm seeing you today. Just want to get all the legal side of stuff over and done with. And then after that, Fizz is going to know everything that's going on. Bloody Pillock. She was accepting of you doing all of this and you're still keeping things from her, you plank. So she's going to find out at some point that he's still doing a bit of sneaking around behind her back, I think.
God.
But I don't know.
Look, there's always a criticism to be made of like people doing things in service of the plot because it's more convenient for the writers to make drama. But I will say Tyrone is a plank. And it does make sense that he wouldn't be able to understand that this is a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that's just part of his personality, isn't it? He's a little bit, not the quickest, not the brightest light bulb in the box. It does get really wearing, and it is a soap after all. Like, so many things we complain about on this show about it is just like, well, you're watching a soap, I don't know what you expect. But it does kind of get tedious when everybody makes decisions that are so obviously wrong and all they do is just create further drama, Yeah. Just gets a bit wearing. Well, anyway, there wasn't a whole lot more of it this week. There was a lovely scene where Fizz is having a bit of a cry in the kitchen at number 9 and Cassie's there comforting her because Fizz is saying to her, look, I'm worried that... She kind of says, I'm worried, but not completely worried that Tyrone's going to leave me. She's more concerned that Hope's going to lose her dad again. And then the family go off to the bistro and Hope's in a bit of a huff and Tyrone's like, oh, what's the problem? And she says, I'm worried about you and Alina. You're going to go off with her like you did before. And Tyrone says, look, I swear, I 100% promise that I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave the family. I'm not going off with Alina. And Hope is appeased by this. And Hope's there... Fizz is there smiling in the background, but I don't know if it's a bit of a smile of I really hope that you're right, or whether it's actually a smile of good, he's confirmed that he is not going to leave me for this Romanian floozy now. But anyway, the Friday scene, there's a little bit. He says to Fizz, look, we should go and take the girls to the cinema on Monday, I think. But then at the end of the episode, he comes back and says, oh, guess what, Fizz? Alina asked me to look after Dorin on Monday. He'd clearly forgotten that he'd promised to go to the cinema, and she says, what about the pictures? And he goes, well, you can take the girls, can't you? And so it's showing that where his priorities are.
Yeah, the shiny new baby.
It's really tough though, isn't it? And he's not going to have... He has never had an opportunity to look after his son on his own, and as far as he knows, he might not get the opportunity again if Alina gets what she wants.
Oh yeah, totally understand. This is good drama.
It's 100% understandable. From
both sides, because Fizz is like, already it started. It didn't take you long at all.
The fact that I guess Tyrone is also seeing that Fizz is being very kind and lenient. So I don't think he's purposefully taking advantage of her kindness, but I think subconsciously he's thinking,
she was get over it.
Oh, Fizz will get over it, it'll be fine, Fizz will understand, she's told me that she'll understand.
This is why I set a very early zero tolerance policy in our marriage.
No Romanian
you're not allowed to do
floozies.
Anything unless I 100% approve of it. Because eventually, the next thing I know, you'll be off having kids with somebody from mainland Europe.
I don't think
we'll have to spend loads of money on EasyJet and stuff.
I don't think there is any chance that Tyrone's going to go off with Alina here, do you? From what you've heard and from what you've seen last week?
I think it's just enough that co-parenting in this situation is going to be stressful and complicated.
Which is something that a lot of viewers will be able to relate to. Not everything in it, like I'm living with my partner and her daughter, the pyromaniac, and my other daughter that I've got is from my abuser, and now she's dead, and now I've got another son come out of the woodwork from a Romanian nail slave. Not everything everyone's going to completely relate to, but the difficulties of of dual parenting, what's it called, co-parenting here. People say, I know that can be really, really difficult. And because I really love the family involved, I'm very much invested in this. There wasn't the high drama of like the Joel story. When Dee-Dee started putting the pieces together and Swain finds the stuff on the computer, I was like, oh, that's juicy. But this was just like, I'm enjoying this. And Cassie did a nice little scene with Fizz as well. So that was quite fun, even if it wasn't mega.
Yeah, I'm just after I threw my toys out of the pram earlier about medical stories and stuff, and saying they have to be done properly if they're going to be done at all because of how personal they are. I also recognise there are loads of other stories that don't affect me at all, and I don't have a very good grasp of whether or not they're going to be triggering or upsetting to other people. Like, if this co-parenting thing, I think, to me, seems like it's being done in a really sensitive way that makes nobody look bad. It's just a situation that's tough, right? But I don't know if somebody's watching this thinking that's just making... I don't think so.
Well,
but there are loads of other things.
You can be triggered by... Everyone's going to be triggered by something.
But I just... Like, and affairs. I think affairs are a big thing. Because we've never been cheated on.
No.
But, do you if you do you watch these soaps and go, I'm sick and tired of this being treated like some kind of salacious, fun thing, when actually it was one of the most devastating things I've ever gone through? Or do you just, because it's so prevalent in culture to have stories like that, does it just wash over you because almost everything has got
you also
some element of that?
get the other reaction that is possible to have is that you say, okay, I'm so invested in this because this is just like I was going through. I so sympathise with this person. So you can sympathise or you can absolutely hate it, and that's the same with the medical stories. You can hate them because of your reasons for hating the cancer stories, or you can go, God, I'm not alone. And I'm sure Corrie gets this. You can't please everybody with a story, but.
I would never ever, and I've said this before, and I hope that the thing is, we talk like 3 hours a week, and we talk about so many different things that are quite personal as well, and I don't want to repeat myself very much, but so I think, some people do listen to every, not every episode, but I think it's, important to say, I've never once said that they shouldn't do things, well, maybe I have, in anger, but if I don't think you should just never do a story. I just think that some stories, they're not done very well, Yeah. And if you're going to do something, you do it properly. But I would hope that, there are obviously some stories they could never do. Like Tyrone starts a torture porn business in the garage. I'd find that a bit hard to watch. But you know what I mean? Like, within reason...
Yes, people are saying they're running out of ideas.
I know. But within reason, everything is just... And I totally support anybody who finds something difficult and wants to switch off of it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I just don't... everyone's a hypocrite in some way or another, whether you think you are or not. That's just being a human. I just try really hard to not... To kind of examine what I'm saying and think about the ramifications of it, and am I being fair?
Yeah. That's fair enough.
I'm just saying that. But... And again, everybody who's involved... the actors and stuff, it's no reflection upon them at all, anything that I'm saying about the storylines that they're in, because there's no, maybe some limited control over some
they
certain
don't have
aspects,
a creative control over where their character goes.
Well, yeah, and you can say what you like about the nitty-gritty bits about, even having birth scenes. I've never had a baby, but the way that the birthing is treated on almost every television programme is ridiculous, and in no way focuses on the aftermath of what happens to a woman's body after giving birth, for example. The only time I've ever seen it really touched on that well was House of the Dragon. And that was probably the first time really that I've because I don't seek out stories like that, so I wouldn't really see a great range of them. But like on Corrie, nobody talks about, I stood up the other day to go to the loo and half of my uterus fell out. Do they? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, blood, there's a lot of horrible things that happen. Never talk about that.
Yeah, and it doesn't... It doesn't bother you when it does, when they don't show that on Coronation.
Doesn't bother me,
because that's not a triggering.
But I also don't think that it would bother most women who had given birth. I don't think many women watch it and go, well, that I'm mad that they didn't show the massive pads you have to wear for days afterwards. It's just tricky because I've explained myself. I just always trying to be fair.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But I think you can't always be fair when it's emotional.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nobody's going to blame you for having a bit of a rant. They love it.
No, they don't. It was a tragic rant.
Tracy, Steve, Cassie, Ken. Yeah. So you saw a little bit about Ken winning the premium bonds, didn't you? You saw somebody mention that on our Facebook.
And that was really funny because I literally the week before decided I was going to, number one, investigate my childhood premium bonds, and number two, actually start putting money into a premium bond.
Did you talk about that on the podcast? You said that when you were little, somebody gave you £5 in premium bonds, and you got no idea what happened to it. So now Gemma's doing an investigation into what happened to it, and we came back from holiday, and you got to sign a bit of paper that gives somebody permission to go and see if you're a secret millionaire.
I don't understand how they're going to trace this. It doesn't make any sense to me, because premium bonds are connected to your national insurance number. So literally, if they've got my national insurance number, they should be able to say,
have you won?
But I had to give a list of everywhere I've ever lived in my whole life, which is very hard. But yeah, hopefully I do have £1 million somewhere
in an account. If the podcast suddenly disappears, it's because we're jetting across the world and Gemma's newfound premium bonds.
If next week we're like, welcome to Conversation Street, the Coronation Street podcast with me, Gemma.
We're going to replace ourselves with AI Michael and Gemma when we want to take another holiday.
Got to keep that money rolling in, Michael, somehow.
So, this is... I say it's about Tracy, but Tracy only shows up on Monday in this story. It's more to do with...
So what the hell? Sorry, Tracy's been gone. You're making out that this isn't a big deal. Tracy's back? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, let me get to it. Because a lot of the story this week is about Cassie having a soft spot for Steve and him kind of being a bit blind to it. So she's on cloud nine after this football match, Cassie. They went to a football match on Friday. Steve and Cassie went together. Do you remember?
No, not really.
Well, they did.
I've had a lot of sausages between them now.
Steve says, and Steve comes into the cafe and it's like, oh, there's a classical music thing going on in the park today.
Is this when Ken says something about Debussy?
No. I think that's the next episode. Did you hear that one as well? There was a bit of Debussy on Wednesday's episode. Okay. I think. Yeah. No. Cassie's like, yeah, brilliant.
Who says that?
Steve says to Cassie,
to classical music.
Do you want to come along to the park for a nice classical music? And she thinks that she's been invited along on a date by Steve,
right? Because
she's she's in a bit like,
she's having fun.
Yeah. So she tarts herself up. She totally Claire Sweenifies on Monday's episode.
It's like
very
when
glam.
Abby Sally Carmen's herself up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also we had old Connie Hyde. She did it as well one time, didn't she? Playing Gina. She glammed herself up
when you finally get to see the actress.
Yeah.
Underneath all of the grime.
Steve comes in to number one. It's like, blimey, you've done yourself up nice. And she said, well, we're going to the park. And he says, oh, you're ready to take Ken to the park. Oh, so she got her wrong end of the stick here. Because he's at the same time been invited out on a date by Demi. Demi was back on Monday's episode. Once and one time only. I think this is possibly the last we've seen.
No, don't tell me it goes badly.
Well,
But I was rooting for them.
She isn't quite as demified as she was the last time. You know when they had her in it before and she was almost like a female version of Steve?
Yeah.
They just dialed her down a little bit on Monday, and Steve kind of ends the date realising maybe I'm not as into her as I thought I was. There was a nice scene where Tim and Sally came into the bistro as well, and Sally's like, oh, Demi, and she invites herself along to the toilet with Demi. But that leaves Tim and Steve alone in the bistro, and this is when Steve says to Tim, I don't know whether Demi's for me, which is a shame because Steve and Demi, I think, would make a brilliant couple to watch. I think Corrie are trying to steer us towards liking the idea of Cassie and Steve. Well, they were at one point anyway. So anyway, it didn't work out with Demi, and Steve goes back home, and Cassie's quite pleased to hear that it was a bit of a disaster. Wednesday's episode was just a lot of fighting between Steve and Cassie. There's a little petty thing where she's been using his mug, and it was a big old tanker of a mug with his face on.
Sports Direct.
And he says it's got a good mouth feel. It's got a picture of himself on. What?
That's what I always say about mugs.
Oh, do you?
Well, I've got my favourite mug.
Yeah.
With the lip.
Steve also has got a favourite mug, but by midway through the episode, it's in pieces on the floor. Because Cassie drops it. Cassie drops it. She's talking to Ken about it, and she drops it on the floor, and they both have a bit of a giggle about it, about how Steve can have a favourite mug.
No, that's wrong.
She's a bit peed off that he's been getting angry with her when she's trying to come on to him.
I can't believe this. I'm sorry, but favourite mugs are very important.
I know. I love it. Have I got favourite mugs? I think I've got one at school that I quite
What's my favourite mug?
One with a lip on it, you just said?
Which
one is it? What's your favourite mug?
The one with hearts on it. Because it's got a little...
What, the little one?
No, the big one that's white with pink hearts on it.
That's quite a little mug.
No, it's not little. Yeah, I don't like giant mugs. I think they're silly.
I don't like giant. This was a giant mug.
Yeah.
I would say that the heart mug is a small mug. Never mind. I won't. I'll be extra careful.
But you know what my favourite one at Mum and Dad's house is?
What?
It's the Robin Hood one. That's also got a lip.
Oh, okay. There we go.
What's your favourite mug?
Well, at school I've got a mug that's my favourite mug that's a Cadbury's Flake mug, and it's one that came with an Easter egg. It must have been about 20 years ago because it's been there ever since I've been working at school.
Aww.
And you can't even tell it's a Flake mug anymore. It's almost completely white. Over the course of the 15 years that I've been working there, it's just faded and faded and faded. And it's a bit of a funny shape. The sides aren't straight. Anyway, every listener.
That's interesting. No, I think this is interesting. In our basement.
Because the thing is, you can't get them on Easter eggs. You get mugs with Easter eggs these days, but they're tiny. And this was back when you had a proper decent sized mug with your Easter egg.
It was the size of an Easter egg.
Yeah. Back when Easter eggs used to be bigger, eh?
Back when they used to be good value.
Shrinkflation.
They don't do mugs with Easter eggs anymore.
But they're smaller ones.
Oh, well.
The little thin ones. Who wants a little thin cup of tea?
Rubbish. In our basement, we have got a whole shelf that is just Easter egg and best teacher mugs.
Yes.
And we treasure everyone.
But we've got more mugs than we actually need.
We've got We've got loads of Nintendo themed mugs for you.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Weatherfield. We said this would be a short episode, and it's not going.
I'm just speaking confidently about something I know because I know the mugs in our house, but I don't know what happened on Coronation Street. So
Cassie's
forgive me.
broken Steve's mug, although she does glue it together by the end of the episode. They get into an argument about it. She finds him in the pub later and says, "Right, I quit. I'm not working for Ken anymore. I can't work with you anymore, you bloody idiot."
Yeah.
So she goes back to the house.
Right.
I can't remember why. But this is when she walks in on Ken on the phone to his financial advisor saying, "Oh, yes, well, it turns out that I've just won £50,000 on the premium bonds. Oh, I wondered what I should do to it." And Cassie overhears this and is like, By the end of the episode, Steve comes back home and Cassie's there making his tea or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, turns out I was just overly acting. I don't really want to quit after all." So the implication here is that she is a bit of a gold digger. And I'm like, no.
Oh.
She's a bit like Kit, where I'm watching going, am I supposed to think you're devious or not? Or are you just changing to suit the story? You can make a character who's a bit mysterious in are they good or are they bad? Or you can have a character where, just sometimes they do good things and sometimes they do bad things because it fits the plot. And it almost feels a little bit like that with Cassie sometimes. Because I really thought I've had huge sympathy for Cassie this week because Steve has been a bit of an arse to her and she's a bit giddy for him, but now she's about to fleece Ken. It feels like I'm like, no, I wanted to like Cassie. Ever since she's come in, she's been a bit grey though, hasn't she? Even when she was going after Kevin earlier.
But I really like characters like that, and one of the reasons I think is that they're unpredictable.
Yeah, she definitely is that,
and that's interesting in this, especially in the soap and. With the best one in the world, they can be quite predictable, and it's nobody's fault. It's because they're based on human nature, and humans are very predictable creatures. So, of course,
I suppose Cassie is the sort of person who can be a bit reckless.
I think she's just opportunistic, and it totally suits her background because somebody who has not had a lot of opportunities in life and has been kind of kicked down quite a lot. She is a drug addict. She was kicked out by her mum. She had a baby that she couldn't keep, etc. You're going to jump on any chance you get, and maybe you, if you're comfortable in your nice house and your mortgage and your car, you're going to judge her. But she didn't have anything. Why wouldn't she want to jump on a chance of maybe, who knows what she wants to get out of it? That's the other thing.
Even though she's had a bit of this, she's been given the brush off by Steve. I do 100% believe the authenticity of the relationship we're seeing between Cassie and Ken, or Kenny as she calls it. And when they're sitting there listening to the Debussy, I totally believe that she thinks he's a nice guy, which is what is partly making me think, well, why do you want to rinse him? Well, or is she just hoping for a bit of a pay rise? The thing is, I don't know.
That's exactly what my point is. Is she going, I'm gonna scam him, which is just as possible, or is she thinking maybe quality of life is going to go up around here? Maybe Ken's going to take me out to the bistro. Maybe Ken and I are going to go to the theatre. Maybe maybe Ken's going to spend some money on making his life better, and I'll be able to jump on it. Like maybe Ken will want to go to Frankfurt for the week and he needs a carer, so I'll go with him, you know?
It's
Not out of the realm of possibility that she's thinking, and I wouldn't blame anybody. Why wouldn't you think, okay, cool.
This reminds me a little bit of Cilla Battersby Brown's exit storyline. Do you remember she worked in a nursing home?
Right.
And then she finds out that this guy that she's nursing is secretly loaded, so she starts fawning over him and being this extra attentive nurse to him in the hope that she can get a load of money, and she does at the end. And maybe I'm kind of conflating the two, and
but this is the age old issue, like, and you know, I've heard that this happens quite a lot with people who are carers. Like, there's quite strict rules about what you're allowed to accept and what you're not, because older people are just so happy to have company, and they don't have much, but if they've got money, they're quite happy to give it to you. But then it creates this horrible situation of coercion and...
Well, Cassie can't possibly think that Ken's going to leave her anything substantial in his will.
Yeah, but you don't know
when
what her
she's
plan
got
is.
Tracy. He's got Tracy and Amy.
Yeah, I know, but you don't know what her plan is. And you know, I don't know what I think about it. I think in some situations, if there is a family around and they're not there, then, and you're the person looking after the day-to-day...
I suppose at this point, when she was thinking this, Tracy wasn't there, and as far as she was concerned, she's not looked in the TV guide to find out that she's coming back the next episode.
Well, also, this is, you know, it's not Tracy's, you know, biological father, but he is her dad.
Yeah.
And where the hell is she? He needs a carer, and she's being hired for money, right? He's got more money now. Why don't I get some of it? I'm the one that's here, not Tracy.
Yeah,
I don't blame anybody for you know, thinking, I'm caring for this person, I think I deserve a cut. But equally, I can understand it from the other perspective, like, no, hang on, I was banking on that money to go on to Florida when he pops it.
Okay. So...
I mean, what's worse, honestly, out of those two, which one sounds the more cutthroat? The one that turns up at the end going, sorry, this was actually my fake dad, I want to go on holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, not fake dad, but you know what I mean.
So, Friday, this is when Tracy does
best dad she's ever had.
This is true. This is true. Although we have seen just recently on Classic Corrie some very lovely scenes of Ray Langton and
pitching
her
up,
getting that relationship back with Tracy. Tragic stuff. Anyway, so Friday, Tracy turns up. There's only a few scenes with this. There was a great little argument that she gets into with Cassie. Literally, she's through the door and one of them's calling
why did she come back? You don't know yet.
We don't know. She's talking to Ken later in the episode, and Ken says, "Well, how's Tommy?" And she definitely gives him a bit of a look like, I don't want to tell you, but she says, "Oh yeah, he's fine. I just came back to see Amy." But I think the implication from that look is that maybe Tommy's given her the heave ho, and she says throughout the episode, "I'm going to stick around for a bit," because on Friday's episode, she gets into an argument with Cassie, and one of them's calling one a skank, and the other one says I can't remember what she calls, but Steve makes a joke about there being insults beginning with S's, so create your own insult beginning with S here. And Tracy's like, I'm not having this woman looking after my dad. But Ken says, "Oh no, I want Cassie looking after me. You'd be no good at it. I'm perfectly happy with the status quo here, to be honest, Tracy." So Tracy is kind of put out by the end of the episode that she has been replaced in her fatherly caring duties.
She doesn't care about Ken that way. And let's be honest. You can love somebody, but you can also not be cut out to be a carer.
Tracy is in no way cut out to be a carer.
Tracy wouldn't even look after Amy for any length of time if she had to. I just don't believe it. Some people just aren't good at that.
No, she's no good at it at all.
And it's hard when you're not that kind of person as well.
Well, possibly
I don't think she loses any sleep over it.
I'm wondering whether she's also possibly worried about Cassie trying to muscle her way into Steve's bed. Yeah. If she's been dumped by Tommy, she's going to sort of worming her way back to him herself, maybe. Because it seems like the easy option. So I'm imagining that in this week's episodes we're gonna see a little bit more of that. But it was quite fun. It was nice to see Kate Ford back again. Anyway, right. So the only other.
So that was it.
That was it. That was all there was.
So what happens to at the end of the week then? Where's Tracy gone? You said she comes back for...
No, she's staying.
She's still there?
She's staying there for a bit.
Okay.
She is staying there for the foreseeable. I'm imagining that this week we'll find out that she's been dumped by Tommy.
So she kind of mysteriously turns up.
Yeah.
And then
Gets
sees
into arguments.
things aren't as she left them.
Yeah. And I don't think we had any hint from Steve of like, oh, Tracy's back for, maybe I'm going to be able to get back with her. Apart from when he's having his date with Demi early in the week and Tim says that how's it going? He does say, I don't know whether I don't like Demi. Tim, I think, mentions Cassie fancying him, and Steve says a line like, "Or maybe I'm not meant to be with anyone apart from Tracy." Although it seemed almost a bit of a throwaway line, and he wasn't really hankering after her, but I guess it's there in the back of his head that maybe a reunion with Tracy wouldn't be so bad after all. So then we had the Paul story, which wasn't that fun because it was more, for me, it was more Kit than Paul, and it's more, diversions away from what should be 100% a Paul story. But Kit's moved into the Rovers because, Glenda's now living in the Shuttleworth residence. Which means that they got a room upstairs, and wouldn't it be handy if a regular character came and moved into the Rovers? Oh, look, it's Kit's turn. And we had Jenny and Glenda having a bit of a perv over him. But that was one of the Rovers scenes that I was telling you about earlier, which had a almost full behind the bar area. Kit gets invited along to Paul's house where they're having a family meal, but when he finds out that family also includes Bernie, he says, "No, I can't, I'm working." But then, of course, Billy, when he goes to the pub later to get a bottle of Merlot, finds out he's not working at all, and is like, "Oh, you just don't want to be with Bernie, do you?" So Wednesday's episode is Billy trying to get Billy Gale tells Kit to go and see Paul, who does another one of his heartfelt pre-programmed speeches saying, "Please forgive my mum." It's just starting to feel a little bit repetitive of Paul saying, "Go on, Kit, can you be friends with my mum, please? She loves you. Please find it in your heart to forgive her." And Kit, to be fair to him, says, "Look, I'm not always a nice person. I'm not going to forgive and forget." So he does recognise that he's a bit of a wrong 'un. But I'm getting a little bit tired of him still being an arse to Bernie when I don't think she completely deserves it. But the main drama with this episode on Wednesday is Paul has a bit of a near-death experience. Kit's in the middle of talking to him, and Paul starts gulping, and it looks like he's suffocating in his chair. And it's like, oh my god, what's going on
horrible.
here? And Kit panics and phones up an ambulance. But then Bernie comes back, and Bernie has to deal with Paul. But she's very good. She's calm. She's like, "Don't worry, Paul, you're going to be okay." She goes up to his cupboard and gets down like an oxygen mask or something and puts it over to him. And she's saying, "Just breathe deeply, Paul." And she was 100% perfect mumming that. And Kit's there.
Is he conflicted?
Watching. He's saying, well, she's doing a good job actually.
Well, he's saying, was he thinking, gosh, she's actually a much nicer person than I gave her credit for, but also equally, why couldn't she have been like this when I needed her?
I don't know whether it was a second, it might have been, but there was definitely a bit of the first there, because he goes round to see her afterwards at number 5, spurred on by Billy, and she's there just having a cry in the kitchen. When she was with Paul, she didn't want to show how panicked she was that my son is, on death's door here, but it's kind of all hit her later on in the episode, and she just has a cry by the sink and I'm not ready for Paul to die. I had to put on a brave face. But
this is her saying this to Kit.
Yeah, but even Kit, she even says to Kit, "Why have you come round for?" And he says, "I don't know." But they do go to the pub together and have a drink together. So it seems possibly by the end of this, it looks like the bonding is happening. But on Friday, the bonding happens between Kit and somebody else, which is Ryan, because Ryan is back in it. How many episodes do you think that Ryan has been in Coronation Street so far this year, considering his total domination of our screens in 2023?
Right, so how many episodes have there been?
And this, I don't know, half a year's worth of episodes. 5 times, I can't do the
6
maths.
6 times, whatever.
How many do you reckon? Let's say there's been
20.
19, very good. But that is 19 half hours, so 10... sitting down and watch Coronation Street. He's barely been in it at all. That is a really good guess for you. Well done. So Ryan's back on the scene, along with Daisy as well, who she's also, we've barely seen her, I haven't got an episode count for her, but she was in one episode in May, one episode in June, one episode in July. So is this her August quota? I don't know. But basically the story here is he has a bit of a word, he's almost having a bit of a flirt with Daisy, but she's not at all interested. He's humping his boxes into the Rovers, and she says, look, do you want me to help? And he says, no, it's fine. And she's like, oh, what, you don't need help from a woman just because I'm not a strong man? Well, maybe I should get my muscular boyfriend. And he kind of says, oh, it's a shame you've got a muscular boyfriend, because he just does a bit of a perving onto her. But it turns out by the end of the episode that Kit and her muscular boyfriend have got quite a lot in common, because Ryan sees him with his vinyl collection, his 90s vinyl collection, and he wants to look through it, and he thinks they're fab. So they're there bonding over music in the Rovers bar. Daisy's standing behind the bar, not really liking the look of it, because she's got Kit's number already. He's a bit of a nasty perv.
Right, okay.
And then that's basically it. So I'm guessing there's going to be more of that this week. That side of things I'm still not completely invested in. It was nice to see Daisy again and Ryan, but I don't know, it just kind of felt that it lost something when the story swiveled to there, when really all I want to know is what's going on with Paul and Billy and Bernie, I suppose, at a push. And that was this week's Coronation Street.
Oh!
Now you know what happened. Oh, I just wanted to talk a little bit about somebody on our Facebook group posted a news article from something in America, didn't they, this week? Do you remember? About this machine that someone with MND had that can read his brain waves and translate it to robotic speech with like 97% accuracy, and they were posting it as in, wouldn't this be good for Paul? I think that'd be quite clever, but his eye gaze is pretty clever as it is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's really interesting.
Now you are 100% fully formed.
It's like I've watched it. I can imagine everything that happened in my mind.
Do you think you might want to watch it?
I'll let fate decide.
You might just regret, because I can look back and say, I've not missed an episode of Coronation Street in 20 years or so. You don't want to have a little gap.
But
they're here for you.
That.
They're here for you to watch. Should you choose to?
I missed bits because of Sinead, so I'm not bothered about it.
You've missed bits of episodes, but I don't think you've missed any full episodes. You might. I can't remember whether Sinead's final episode was completely Sinead centric. So you might have missed that one full episode.
I've missed Toyah bits.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but if you're not, I say, if you're going to watch anything, it's Dorin and his little ad lib in the hotel set, which was lovely. But anyway, I'm going to rate this week's Coronation Street 3.5. I'm going to rate it 3.5 little snotty things in the bottom of Toyah's drink, because there's a scene where Leanne goes off to get Toyah some kind of special life drink that's got a little snotty bit of vegetable in the bottom. I don't know what
from the Institute or from the NHS?
No, I think it's just from the shop.
What shop?
I don't know.
The Friends of Weatherfield General?
I don't know what shop it is.
Sorry, Michael, you're not making any sense to somebody who hasn't watched it. Why is Leanne buying a snotty drink? What is it?
It's just some kind of, vegetarian drink. Yeah.
Oh.
Some kind of health freak drink. Sorry, for any health freaks that are listening that enjoy little snotty things at the bottom of their bottles.
What could it be?
I've got no idea. I was only half listening for that bit. My character of the week this week is...
Out of context, that was just very strange.
Sorry. Well, that's why you got to watch it.
Haven't
The
I?
listeners get it. They understand what I'm talking about. I am going to give my character of the week this week to... I'd be hard pushed to make it not Dorin, because he is bloody cute, but he's not done a whole lot. I think I'm going to give my character... You can't even help me with this, can you?
I think it should be Dorin.
I'm going to give it to Dorin just because I think he's really adorable. And that's
Adorinable.
Adorinable, exactly. Anything else that you would like to add or ask or anything?
No questions. That was
there we go. We managed to get through a whole Street Talk section with only half of the podcasting crew having watched the episode. How about that? We're not going to make a habit of it. I hope it still made entertaining listening.